What's going on? Killazilla is back with another Crossout video, and this might just be the only settings guide you need, because I'm going to go through every single setting in detail, explain what it does, and you can make the decision whether or not you change it or what you prefer. Some things will be obvious, some things you're going to want to definitely change, but it's always up to you. I'm just going to explain what it is. Check it out. Now, before we get into this, I do want to explain some of the settings will be build specific, right? Depending on your movement part, hovers, think that's strafe. They're going to have specific settings that apply to them. So if you're not using those cars, it's not going to apply. But I recommend at least changing them now or tweaking it to your liking in case you do end up using that, right? Because there could be an event where you're using hovers. There could be an event where you're using artillery. You might not normally be using those, but if you're playing that event, these settings are going to affect you. And I'm getting a lot of messages right now, so bear with me. So we're going to start obviously in general, because this is just the most basic stuff that you definitely want to change. Now with mouse sensitivity, oh mind you, I'm a PC player. I'll still go over some controller stuff, but everything I'm referring to is like PC, or my preference on a PC. I like to turn the DPI on my mouse all the way up. You should have a little button somewhere on the top, and it'll tell you what your DPI is, or depending on the brand, maybe you're using a program. I like to crank it up as high as I can on the mouse, and then I'll fine-tune it here in the game. I think that allows me to pinpoint it, and each game I play, I can get it as close as possible, because it's less that I'm working with, if that makes sense. Now, the artillery sensitivity is just like I said. In an event, or if you have an artillery weapon, this is going to matter, so change it now. Any weapon that's like a Heather, a Mandrake, an Incinerator, a Jotan, if it has this lobbing trajectory, that's the sensitivity when you're doing this. When you're going side to side, see how it's slower? And then front and back's a little bit faster, see? That's what the sensitivity is in the settings. So you're going to see X and Y. That's what you really want to play with. Remember, horizontally, you got a lot of area to work with. But if you're going to go vertically, you're not going up, you're going farther. Okay? That, for me, I want it to be quicker. Because you could go farther. The map's long. But my side to side, I'm going to be turning mostly. I don't really need that fast of a side to side. But I do want to kind of get out there, or I want to bring it in quicker. So that's why one's higher than the other, but that's completely up to you. I would just mess with it. If you don't own a Mandrake, you don't own any of those artillery weapons, go into Exhibition, type in whatever one you want to play with, and then you can mess around and change it there. Inverted Y for mouse, obviously, down is up is down, it's just backwards. Mouse smoothing. Mouse smoothing, I do not like, okay? Whenever I was doing those intros, when I would make a build and the camera would go around it and the music was playing in my old videos, I would use mouse smoothing, but I stopped because I kept forgetting to take it off. It just makes the mouse movement smoother. It appears, it feels smoother. There's less like twitchy, jerky movements. I don't like it because it makes me less accurate. I play with a very high sensitivity, and I depend on that ability for me to just snap over to something. You know what I mean? With the smoothing, I overshoot it, I undershoot it. It's very less fine-tuned, but it does appear more visually pleasing and feel smoother, right? So if you're playing like a machine gunner, maybe that'd be cool, but for a cannon, I wouldn't recommend it at all. But this is up to you. I just want to let you know what it does. It just makes it smoother. Try it out, test it, see if you like it. Now, scope sensitivity is your wheel on your mouse. So if you're zooming in with the wheel, this is going to decide how many clicks, little bumps in the wheel, how many bumps it takes for you to zoom all the way in. I like to go all the way in with the mouse, and then I use my my button, my keybind for zoom. I use that to do slow movements, right? If I want to zoom in slowly, I'll use the button, right? But if I just want to zoom all the way in, I use the scroll, right? That's just my preference, but that's what that does. It doesn't really speed up the buttons, it just speeds up how little you have to move the wheel to go further into your zoom. Camera distance is the camera distance away from your build. I like to be further away. This is obviously like just really close. I don't like this at all. Like, this is crazy talk. You see this? That's not good at all. You can zoom back out of it, kind of, right? But check this out. Go back up here to a 1.0, and then everything stays at 1.0. You're just It's just better to be able to see around you. You know, you don't ever want to be zoomed in, and if you need to be zoomed in, you can always zoom in, right? So it doesn't make sense to kind of default yourself into that setting. So I would definitely 100% max this out to a 1.0. That's something I definitely recommend. Floating camera is an animated camera. The viewpoint reacts to every bump and collision. This is the dumbest thing in the world. Just listen to what it says. If you have this on, you need to take this off. This is affecting your accuracy. This is affecting your driving. Get this off. Please don't use that. Spectate through the player's eyes. This is when you're dead and you're spectating. Do you want to actually see as if you're still playing, or do you want to see it from the outside view, right? I like the outside view just so you can see around sometimes, but when I'm actually trying to like see how somebody's good, or if they're aiming correctly, seeing through their eyes, you see how they're aiming. You see if they're missing their shots, stuff like that, right? Highlight auto capture. I've never used it, but that's probably the most obvious thing in the world. Any cool thing that happens in the game, if the game thinks it's cool enough, it'll save it into a folder in your documents on your actual computer. But I've heard this captures like, it's not going to get good stuff. Just don't use this. You can mess around with it. Build mode, the camera movement speed is obvious. It's on your keyboard. You're moving side to side with your camera. Do you want it to go fast or slower? I like it slower so I can pinpoint. The camera in the build mode is very good, right? You can like go up into things. Like you can literally go in, and then sometimes if there's like a really tight spot, you could get in there and like place something in there. You know what I mean? You really can get in. Sometimes you might get stuck, but I like it to be slower just so I can be more precise. The inverted thing is exactly the same. Up is down, down is Y, but that's only for build. And the camera slowdown, additional camera slowdown when there's a part in the hand. I do like that. It's kind of like when you ADS and the sensitivity is slower in other games. That's what this reminds me of. Privacy, obvious, right? Who do you want to see your profile? I always keep everyone, but sometimes when I'm building a surprise for a video and I don't want people to know what I'm doing, I will put this on nobody when I'm building. Just because if anybody clicks on my thing and sees what's in my garage, they see what I'm working on, right? So if you ever look at my profile and it's private, it's because I'm building. And if I'm not building, I just forgot to change it. So tell me, please. Accept friend requests. Do you want friends to send you friend requests or not? It's up to you. Message and invites only from friends. I don't know. If you're a very busy person or you're just shy, maybe turn that on. Enable chat. No. Turn chat on. No. General chat is not good. Get out of the general chat. If you're a new player, stop taking their advice. It's trolls and veteran players just trying to mess with people. Don't do it. Ask me a question. I got a couple of good guys who play almost every different type of the game. I can point you in the right direction. Just let me know. Enable surveys. Once in a while, if they add some weird feature, there might be a survey that pops up to ask you how you feel about it. If you don't want that popping up, turn that off. And the clan tag is the little bracket before your name. If you're in a clan, it'll show it. If not, it won't. I mean, or if you don't want it to, put this on, right? I like to see my clan tag. It's the clan Quack. It's a great clan, great people. I'm not trying to hide it, so it doesn't make any sense for me to turn it off. Now, network is big. I go auto, but some people, if you're having a really hard time connecting to a game, or you're having a bad ping or bad lag, mess around and try different servers. I'm going to be honest with you, it makes sense for you to like use the one that you're in. Supposedly, like mentally you think that would make sense. But I play a lot in the late hours of the night, the early mornings, where anyone in my region is basically asleep, right? So sometimes if I'm having a weird queue time, I'll actually like mess around. I'll go to Asia, Australia. It works. It definitely works. Just mess around with it. But if you're going to default it, I would say auto is the way to go. And you can even network test, and that'll help you figure that out. But for general, that's basically it. Not too hard. Let's move on. Interface is by far one of the most important things you're going to need to change, okay? It's basic, but it puts you at a disadvantage if you're not already doing it. And you should be doing it in every game you play. It should be default. The first thing almost that you do. Not the language. You can do whatever language you want. Subtitles, subtitle background. I like all that stuff, right? I like when the people are saying stuff, the commentary. I turn all that on. You can turn it off if you don't like it. Now with damage, This is all going to depend on you. What do you want to see? What are you trying to do? Are you running tests? Now I'm going to show you what it does. Grouped numbers, all that is it's going to show you all the damage in a group in one number, right? So as I shoot, a number will pop up and that number will keep going up. Now you're going to see yellow and white. Yellow is the cab, white is the armor. That's why there's two numbers, right? But that is just one bracket, let's call it, right? Even if I switch over to a car, I'm shooting this one, and I shoot this one, it's still two sets of numbers, right? But if we go into the settings and we go, now obviously hide numbers is nothing, right? But if we do show detailed numbers, this is going to give you a better example of the damage you're doing at that moment. Each bullet's damage or each little burst's damage. This is definitely more like if you're testing, you would probably want to use this. But because I'm a cannon player and I like to see those big lump sum numbers, I do group numbers. That's the way I roll. Now, detached allied harpoon, that means anytime a teammate shoots you with a skinner and harpoons you, it immediately detaches. It doesn't allow them to harpoon you. Now, it's not a big deal if they do harpoon you. You can just hit R or whatever button you're using, and it'll detach it. But, you know, there's trolls out there. People do get annoying. If you're tired of dealing with that or you are dealing with that, put that on maybe, right? Refuse help. See, this is again, depending on if you're playing with people maybe. If you flip the car, the allies will not be able to help you. It's not going to say to flip you over. If they go by you, they're not going to get the prompt. They're not going to be able to even do it. It's just going to keep you upside down. The only time I see this being useful is if somehow you built a build that's supposed to be upside down and you want it to be upside down, then maybe put this on. But other than that, I don't know why this exists. And if you could tell me, if anybody knows why this exists, please let me know. Disable hints. I turned it off because I've been playing for a while, but you should probably turn this on. You should uncheck it. You should want the hints on so you can learn a little bit faster if you're a newer player. Showing the center of mass in the test drive, what that is those arrows. Those arrows will show you which way the build's leaning or where the weight is going. So if you're front heavy, side heavy, that'll give you a better idea of that. I like it. It's very helpful. But some people hate it. I don't know why, because it's just the visual. But it's just showing you, and especially driving at like higher speeds, when you can see the momentum of the weight, you can make drift cars much easier using that. That's very helpful. Now, vehicle copies in test drive. So every time you test drive whatever you're building, a copy of that vehicle will be in the range for you to shoot at. Okay? If you don't have that, the only thing in the range will be the two that you assigned. If that makes sense, right? So as long as this is checked off, whatever current build you're test driving will be in your garage as well, or your shooting range, right? The color vehicle outline, this is going to disable. This option will remove colored outlines from armored vehicles in spectator mode. Oh, okay. So what that does is when you're spectating and you're dead, you can like have like a wall hack almost. You're going to see the outline of all the people, so you can have a better view of what's going on. This actually might be good to have. Disabling this will remove. Oh, I'm sorry. We already have that. That's crazy. So sight color is your little crosshair. If you ever notice, see my little crosshair is green. I like green better. Green stands out. The majority of red dot sights and sights in general that I've ever used on real weapons was green, and I preferred green. Less things in the real world are neon green. Red blends into a lot more than you would expect. So does blue and purple. Green is just good. I like green. I look at it like green to go, red to stop. I do the same thing. I'll show you with the team. We'll get there, right? Now, scope activation by pressing, by holding. It's up to you, right? Do you like toggle or do you like to hold? Some things are better to hold because then when you release it, it stops it like a multifunction. But scoping in isn't one of them for me. I like to just scope in and then move in scoped in, right? That's, again, dependent on what you prefer. Scope activated by the mouse wheel. That's what we were talking about before with the sensitivity. If you don't even want that to happen at all, you can just turn it off. And the magnification, by pressing the button twice, you can also turn that off. So you will only zoom in one time, right? So I'll actually show you that right now. Like I said, when you hit the button, you can zoom in twice. 1.8, 2.8. If you take that off, I believe you only zoom in once. Where are we? There we are. and then we go to 1.8, and that's it. Exactly, right? So it's just a quick little in and out. You don't get that double. I like double because I play cannons, like I said, so I keep that sucker on. The rocket strike alarm. I don't play with headphones 99% of the time, or sound at all, to be honest, right? So sound doesn't really do much for me, but visual definitely does. I would say put both on no matter what. If you're being locked on and there's missiles coming at you, you're going to see on the screen that they're coming. It's going to tell you which direction to look. You can then shoot the missiles out of the sky, right? And, you know, let's say you are playing with volume, you'll even hear it too. It's a double warning. It's very good because missiles, guys, you can shoot missiles. You don't have to sit there and just take the missiles and complain about it. What you can do is shoot the missile before it gets to you. You can go invisible. You can use an Argus. I mean, there's so many counters to these missiles, it's ridiculous. But this is going to give you that first warning to know, give you time to deal with it, right? That's definitely big. Combo counter is like the combos when you're doing damage, you get that explosive pop. It's the same thing with the numbers. And then damage direction is the same thing with the rockets. If somebody shoots at me from my right side, I'll have a little glow, a little like a little, I don't know how to describe it, like a red little streak pop up. It's like a warning over here, and then you can use that to see which way you need to look because it'll tell you which way to look, and that's where you're getting shot from. I definitely recommend these. 100% damage direction, rocket strike alarm, put them on. Like I said, if you don't play with sounds, you don't need the sound, but visually, 100% at least do that. Now this is really what kind of started the entire video. This area right here. Control of movement parts while strafing. Boys, this is the whole point of the video. Now, we're going to want to hover because this is all going to be dependent on omnidirectional vehicles. That means atom wheels, omni wheels, anything that can strafe. If you're not going to turn, if you're not turning and you can just go side to side, that's what strafing is, right? That's when you use the other keys, not your left and right. So this is strafing, okay? Now, these settings are very big time, so please, if you're a hover player or you like omnidirectional stuff, please pay attention because this is big. This is very big. Bind turning and tilting to the camera. So when turned on, the cars with strafing movement parts always turn in the direction of the camera. This is what I thought that other setting was, right? The car will turn when you hold down the key turn and turn when the camera direction is released, when you release it. Okay, that sounds crazy. Let me just show you. It's very easy to show. Ready? I don't have my hand on the keyboard, but I'm still turning my car. I'm turning my car because I'm aiming. I'm actually turning by aiming. Now you can do this with hovers. You can do this with atom wheels, omni wheels, anything that strafes, any omnidirectional movement part, right? That's what that is. Now, if you take that off, which a lot of people do, surprisingly, I was very surprised by this. A lot of people turn this off. It's just something that they like. I don't like to aim with my keyboard, so I don't do it. But now look. I can look around my build, and it's not going to move. The only way now I can turn is if I use my keys. See what I'm saying? So I can still drive, but I can't turn at all unless I'm actually using these keys up here, which is Q and E, right? I don't like this because now I'm trying to aim, and if it's a fixed mounted weapon especially, you're literally aiming with these keys. If it's a rotational weapon, maybe not as bad. I personally just don't like this at all, to be honest with you. I would try it because, again, like I always say, if you never try something, you don't know whether or not you like it. You can see this and assume it, but you've never used it, right? Try it. Run it for a couple of games and then see. I don't think you're going to like it, but again, a lot of people do, and a lot of big-time people do, and they do very well with it, right? So at least give yourself a chance and try it. Now, control inversion while in rear view. This is big for me. When turned on, the activation of the rear view will completely invert the control. Forward is backwards, left is right, right? The car and the movement parts and the strafing. This is all together. So all this means is when you're going backwards, let me show you. So let's say if I'm now, I'm going backwards, and now I'm hitting left, I'm going left. I'm hitting right, I'm going right. That's fine because I'm looking forward. But what if I now do this? I reverse my view and I'm technically looking through the rear view mirror, right? These are backwards builds. This is what people build all the time. everything's still the same for me. If I push forward, I go forward. If I push left, I go left. If I push Q, I start to turn, to the left. Everything is the direction it's supposed to be. Nothing is inverted. And that's only because that thing is checked off. If this isn't checked off, that's why when you're in rear view, everything is backwards. And that sucks. I had to deal with that for a while. It's very annoying. I suggest this section looking like this, right? But let me explain the rest and then you can get to that. Fix the camera to the sector of view, right? So by default, you should have this probably. The player camera works in the standard mode with the orientation to the front part of the armored car. To change the mode to the rear view, you can use the rotate camera rear view button. When this function is enabled, the camera orientation also occurs automatically when the player sharply turns backwards, basically, right? So if you whip around too fast and you just look behind you, it'll immediately switch to going backwards or backwards view. I don't like this, right? So I'm going to show you what it looks like, without it, which is great. You're going to want it like this. Look. So let's say if I'm playing and I have a guy all the way over here and I see that he's shooting at me and I want to look. If I did this and tried to look at him, it's not going to turn around like that. I'll show you exactly what it does. It does something completely different and it's not something good that you're going to want. Or maybe you will. Depends on the build, right? So, same thing. Look, we're fighting. Now I'm going to turn, but now I'm locked into backwards view. Look, my car's not turning back around to reorient itself. It's just now backwards. See? It's literally now backwards. But if I go like this and I go all the way around, now it's straight again. You see what I'm saying? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'd rather just go backwards. So reverse rotation inversion is responsible for the direction of the rotation of the movement parts with a shift when driving in reverse. When turning is on, it allows the car to rotate in the same direction while driving both forward and backwards. Okay? Now in a hover, if you're gonna strafe and go forward and backwards, your car is gonna turn certain ways, right? So let's go to how I normally have it, right? Now, if I hit E, you start to turn to the right. If I hit Q, I turn to the left, right? Same thing if I hit forward. I go left and right no matter what I hit, left or right. If I go backwards and I hit Q, I still go left. If I hit E, I still go right. You see what I'm saying? Now, if we change this setting, it's going to be opposite, right? So if we're going forward, E is still right, Q is still left. But if we're going backwards, E is left and Q is right. You see what I'm saying? Those are backwards. It's very annoying when you're trying to turn around and then go backwards. You just want to... It's not how I instinctively do it, okay? So again, when I'm going backwards, if I want to go left and I want to turn my car left like I normally would do, I would hit Q normally. But this will turn my car right because this is the wrong setting. It's the wrong setting for me. So I like to keep this one checked off. Swap, strafing, and turning and steering is obviously what it says, right? The Q and the E become the A and the D. The A and the D become the Q and the E. It just makes your strafing buttons your regular turning buttons, and your regular turning buttons are right next to your forward button. That's all preference, up to you, right? Notification centers, this is obvious. Do you like the pop-ups? Do you want to know what's going on? Do you want to know when you sell an item? This is the all button, obviously. Battle results would be your end of so I guess the end of the battle, you go back to the lobby. I never mess with these because this is obvious. Of course, I want to know how many challenges I have left and the medals I'm getting. This doesn't make any sense. I would say turn all of this on. And then this is where the bread and butter is, boys. This is what is putting you at a severe disadvantage. I know you thought it was all that hover stuff, but again, you could deal without it. It's pretty annoying to have things going backwards over here, but it's tolerable. This, on the other hand, is not. You want your mini-map size large, baby. As big as possible. And then all the markers inside of it, you can adjust what you want. Now, according to map size is nice. It is. It's a very good, balanced, easy thing to see. If you have a small monitor especially, you might not want to go too small. But I am only going small, and the mini-map scale I'm keeping minimum so I can see the entire map. Okay? So now look, if we look at my map, the map is big, okay? But I can see the entire playable area right now, basically. And then I can see what and where people are going to go and predict their movements. So all the little markers of the enemies and all the markers of my teammates are going to be smaller. They're not going to take up too much room because I have the map so small inside of the mini map. If the markers were big, they'd be blocking a lot of the map, right? So this is all going to be dependent on how big you make that inside, right? Now look, if I put the inside up to, let's say, like a 4.0, now look at the map. You see a lot less, right? Now let's see a little bit less, but not too much. Let's just do a solid 2, right? You could still see most, if not all, of the playing area, and it's a lot more close. But if there were enemies on here, you can now make the markers a little bit bigger, because especially since they're triangles, you can see the way they're facing, and it's easier to sneak up on people. Minimap size large, 1000%. The size of the markers and the size of the insides, that's completely up to you and your vision. Minimap rotation as well, you definitely want that on. You don't want to have to figure out which direction you're looking. It doesn't make any sense. Because if I'm going to turn this way, all I need to do now is look at the map, and the map's still facing the way I'm looking, right? I can turn completely around, and now the map's showing me the front or the side that I'm looking at, right? I like it to spin with me. I always have in every game I played. I recommend you do that as well. Now, the coordinate grid is basically your mini-map when you pull it up, right? So if we keep the grid on and we're in the game and we pull the map up, you're going to have a grid and you're going to be able to tell them, like, E5, right? Easy enough. You see it, you go, boom, F7, right? That's nice to have. If you don't like that or you just never use it, you want it to be gone, you can turn it off just like that. You won't have any grids. I'll actually just show you what that looks like. Boom, no grids, right? Again, a lot of this is preference, you know, but the big map and things being backwards, those could be a very big disadvantage to you. You definitely want to make sure your settings are correct, you know. I actually just messed up here because that was supposed to be checked. Okay, so now, these are all colors. I always say colors are very weird because, let's get real, what I see here as red, it could be completely different from what you're seeing, but we're just both agreeing that this is red, right? I say go with what stands out for you. Don't listen to anybody else. You know what you see better, okay? So the opacity of the players' banners, that's when they kill you and the stuff like that. Whatever, not a big deal. Same thing with the map. You can do whatever with that. Do you want to see names? Okay. You could do it when you're looking at them, like you're just hovering over them. The name pops up. You can have the names completely gone, or you can have them show always. I like that. Enemy team is red for me. Like I said, green is go, red is bad. Enemies are always red for me. Team is always green for me. Always, or blue, right? So my regular team is blue. My regular team is green. My allies are blue. And then everybody else is like an offshoot of that. Some type of purple. And then yellow is like same thing as red. Like, oh, danger. And that's why ringleader, right? Raider, bruiser, ringleader. Those are all in raids. Now, if you're going for raid challenges, you're going to need to be specifically killing either a raider, a bruiser, or a ringleader. There's a challenge for all of them, right? So setting up these colors will help you differentiate. And when you're doing the raid, you can attack the ones you want. Because for the longest time, I had to kill like hundreds of raiders. You don't want to waste your time attacking some special guy when you could just go annihilate the little ones. But the color coordination will help you the most. Nearby permanent ally pings. If any of my teammates ping something really close to me, that stays up forever, basically. You know, I like that. I'm a big ping guy. I use pings as references, whether I'm even if I'm just aiming. Like if I'm aiming, I'm using it as a marker and judging how high to aim and stuff like that. I use pings a lot. I recommend please put the ping button in an area where you're comfortable hitting it in a heat of a battle, because that can save your life. I put the distance at max, but you can mess with that, right? You can have it so if it's across the map, it disappears right away, whatever. Now, user marker ability, I do all, but you could do group or clan members only, or just yours. So if Pings on the map annoy you. They block your view. You don't like hearing the sound or anything like that. Just do you, so you can see your own ping. Or if you trust your group or your clan members, do that, right? That depends on you. I have a lot of people I play with who hate pings. Like, they're constantly going, yo, clear your ping, because they can't see through a opaque light color, but you know how people are. So the markers over the bases at the start of the battle, when you spawn and it shows you where the map basically is. I mean, like, you know where the base is. You don't really need that. But I do like the markers over the base during a capture. It helps me realize if I'm going off the base. Because sometimes those lines, in the heat of a battle, you're not paying attention. You know, I could go off and kill a couple people and then, like, think I'm on the cap, and I'm not. So you want to make sure you're on the cap, especially more people on the base. It just goes faster. That's it for interface. Like I said, this is very, very important stuff, guys. Please mess around at least with the mini map. Mess around with this right here, especially if you do hovers, omni movement. This is extremely, extremely important. Anybody who's trying to be like better or more serious, color coordinating, pings, that's big time too. So that is it for interface. Let's move on. Now, the video settings are pretty easy to deal with because we're playing Crossout. Let's get real. It's a 10-year-old game. You don't need things to be like crispy perfect. You know, don't focus on that. If anything, that's going to put you at a disadvantage too. Because my computer, I would say, is decent. It's pretty good. I spent some money on it, right? But when too many explosions are going off, too many parts are flying off cars, and there's a lot of destruction happening, that's when I get those crazy freezing lag spikes. I've been paying attention more, and I'm realizing that those freezing, when it freezes and it lags out, or it freezes and I come back, anytime it freezes now, I'm noticing it's always during a boom. Something big is happening. There's a lot of fire on my screen. There's a lot of parts flying on my screen. That's always the time in which I lag, right? And I'm noticing that. So I'm going to say, go less, right? I ran the test. I auto-configured down here. And I even moved a couple of things down. So I'll go through all of that, but that's completely up to you. Now, your resolution obviously is going to be what your monitor or your TV is going to support. I would say go as high as possible, but that's completely up to you. Same thing with the render scale. The render scale should match your resolution. VSync, turn that off. Please, please, please. VSync only causes issues. I don't think anybody can tell me that VSync has been good for them, to be honest. And if it has, again, please correct me. I don't like to give bad information, so if anytime I'm wrong, I don't take offense to it. I'm just telling you what I've seen. That's why I like to show you, right? I'm telling you something, I'm showing you it. Most of the time, it is what it is. But sometimes, like I said, it's preference. Now, color correction settings. I have wild settings on my monitor. The saturation, the contrast is what I see, and what you guys see in the clips is completely different. My thing looks like it's a cartoon almost, like it's glowing. It's crazy. But you can adjust it all here. So if your graphical settings are so much different from the in-game settings, that's where you can use those settings to kind of tweak and perfect it right here in color correction. Or you can use the adaptive resolution mode, which will allow you to, in this mode, the scene will be rendered with a variable resolution depending on the current load to meet the specific FPS target. I'll show you what that target is down there later. But if you're having a lot of like spikes or ping that's just out of nowhere, I would turn this on, because this will lessen the graphic quality to keep your FPS tolerable, right? The target range is right here. You can turn this on, right? So if you do turn this on, that's when you can set your range. Now, again, this is only if you're experiencing like crazy lag or just wildness and it's intolerable. You can mess with this. I'm not telling you to turn this on for sure, but at least you can mess with it, right? Now, video quality, you could just be lazy. You can go low, medium, good, or high. If you click any of these, it will change all of these settings. If you have the worst computer of all time, and I've said this because I've done this, you can use your grandma's laptop from 15 years ago, the Dell that's been sitting in the closet probably, and play Crossout, but you're going to put on the legacy GPU compatibility. This just puts everything as low as possible. It allows you to get the most FPS on some of the garbagest computers I've ever seen, right? I started playing this game, this wonderful game of Crossout, on 13 FPS on the laptop that is now my camera stand. Okay? The laptop is now my camera stand, and I used to play the game on it. So That should give you a little bit of a reference. At 13 FPS, mind you. Constant, though. A nice solid 13 FPS. Now, if we go down here, you're going to see the run test. This can give you a more precise what your computer can handle, right? But again, this isn't during a game. This isn't during action-packed. Everything's exploding. So I like to turn some things down just to give it a little extra chance to survive, right? So we're going to go into advanced. We have NVIDIA DLSS. I don't know too much about this, but from what I've been told by everyone I've ever talked to, turn it off. Just turn it off. Anti-aliasing. This setting is responsible for anti-aliasing. Oh, is it? Improving the final image quality, right? So it's like, basically it's how many times the graphics get ran through and processed. You know, sometimes they might process it and miss a little bit. Like that's why stuff won't render. And you'll see a building's like smooth. It's not fully textured. If you have rendering problems, then mess with this. But I don't have any problem with that, so I'm not going to use it. Fidelity, super resolution, turn that off. Shadow quality is obvious. I would not turn it off though. The thing of it is, if somebody is behind something and the sun is behind them, the shadow casts in front and you could possibly see it. I've seen shadows multiple times. It definitely works. Don't turn it off. If anything, turn it on low. Okay? Light source shadows. The light source shadow setting changes the resolution of the shadows on the map. I only do this because in darker maps, the shadows will blend in if you don't, right? So you might want to turn that up a little bit more. And then particle density changes the numbers of particles for various smoke, explosions, particle effects, and many more. If this is on low, it almost creates a wall. It helps them more. It creates like a smoke screen, right? I don't like that, so I use medium. And then texture quality, changing the level of texture detail, decreasing the value of this parameter, increases the game's performance, and significantly affects memory consumption. This is a big one. Anytime it requires a restart, as you see on the bottom, that means it's making a major, major, major change. If my computer absolutely sucked, definitely low, right? If I spent all the money in the world, I would go high, but because I'm in the mid-range, we're going to go medium. Now, the anisotropic filtration. I've used 16 on every other game I've played, so that's why I use 16 on this. Global illumination, I turned that off. That's just like extra stupidness. Right here, it'll tell you what it does, but you don't need any of that. The quality of the NVIDIA horizon-based ambient occlusion. This is actually terrible, but it's great. It allows you to create a realistic global shading around objects and surfaces that cast shadows. I would recommend turning this off. But because, like I said, I actually use shadows to see. Like, I actually try to look for shadows sometimes. This helps a lot. It gives me more areas of light. It creates more shadows. And this is good. This is very good. But again, not a lot of people play like that. Some people don't even think about looking for shadows and stuff. It's not great. I'm not saying it's a pro level move, but it's something I do in a lot of games. So I like things to be the same in every game I play, for the most part. Motion blur, get it out of here. You don't need it. Blur intensity, obviously nothing because you're turning that off. Dynamic lighting determines the type and quality of dynamic lighting sources, decreases the value of the setting, may boost the gaming performance. That's why we're on low. This would definitely help the shadows and stuff like that and the contrast, but it's going to affect the computer, so we're not going to have it. Sun shafts, turning down this parameter may slightly boost the game's performance. Low is simplified, good is medium. You know how I do it. If I don't have a bad computer, I don't need to go low. If my computer's not the best, I don't go high. For the most part, anything in the mid-range with any of the settings I'm telling you to turn on should be fine. If you like going FPS and getting more frames and being more competitive, just do everything low. It's not that big of a deal, right? But because I'm recording my stuff and I make videos, I do prefer the graphics to be decent. You know, if you're just playing, or especially if you're competitive, low and off is probably like what you're going to want here. You know, graphics very much affect your FPS. So if your computer's not good, just go low, dude. It doesn't need to look great. What does it matter how good the fire looks when you're the one on fire and dead? You know what I mean? Lens flare, turn that off. That's like when you walk outside and you're like blinded by the light, get rid of that. Vignetting, don't need it. It imitates the brightness reduction at the edges of the field of view. So all the way out here in your peripherals. No, I don't need any of that. Now, draw distance I have on high. That basically what it's saying down here is objects beyond this distance are not drawn to the screen. So it refers to the maximum distance of the objects within the three-dimensional scene that can be rendered by the rendering machine. So if things are really far, they're not going to be rendered as good. I don't like that because I go fast. That's why I have this on high. So I might end up on another end of the map really quick. I'd prefer all that stuff to be rendered and not be lagging me out and stuff. So we keep that on high. Same thing with the grass. The distance is just exactly what it says. Distance, right? So what's the grass look like at a distance? The density of the grass at a distance. Traces of the movement parts. That's the, see the indents? You can actually, like, draw in the snow. Now, destruction physics I turned off because I was having issues. Since I turned it off, it seems like I'm lagging a lot less, you know? The less that the destruction is detailed and causing strain on my computer, the better it is. So instead of just going low, I just went off. It's working for me. Maybe I'll try low out. I was on high prior, so I probably can get away with low. Shell quality is dumb. Why would you want it? Get rid of it. Only show the stickers on my car? No. I like art. I like seeing other people's builds. I want to see your stickers. Active window FPS limit. While I'm playing, the FPS will max out at 120. I used to do 240. Well, I used to do 300, right? At ultra. But then the servers kind of went to garbage, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse, and I went down and down and down. And 120 just seems to be solid, especially with this minimized window FPS limit. Boys, thank you, Nope. Let's all give a round of applause to Nope. This was a game changer. Every time I click off my screen and I was complaining about it, remember I was breaking pencils in that video? Very annoying. That would even trigger the freezing sometimes, because there's no way for me to lock this on the screen. If I go too far left, I'm on a different monitor. And now if I click on that monitor, it starts, this is not in focus anymore because I'm clicked onto the screen. So the FPS drops, and then this will tell you where it drops to, right? So here's my example. Let me show you. Ready? I'm on the screen. I'm at 120. I go over to my other screen. I click. I drop down immediately to 60. See how easy that is? Now, the difference isn't as much because I had this thing at 12 before. And if you're going to see this, everything looks great and wonderful. Look, you can even see the animations here. See how good they look? Now watch this. Look at my FPS. That's a huge problem. And if there was explosions and fighting going on right now, I would most likely freeze and lag out of that game, right? So you're going to go back to your settings. Put this at whatever you think your computer can handle, but definitely put that at least 60. Or, again, if you're not at 60 FPS, let's say you're at 30 FPS, match. Because then if you click off screen, there's not much of a change. I can only go up to 60. If I could, I would go up to 120. So enable sound, absolutely. Playback device, this is going to be completely up to you. As I said, my settings are already tweaked and my defaults automatically go where I want them. But if you're having trouble and you're not getting it through your headset or your mic or whatever you're trying to do, just come here and pick it. Mine would be quadcast, but I just go default regardless. Master volume. Okay. I like the announcers to be heard, and if the master volume is too loud, you can't really hear them sometimes. So I do turn this down a little bit. I don't do anything with music because the music is annoying. Get rid of that music. And then the sound and the speech maxed out to the gods. Dynamic range, I go extended because it doesn't really matter. I would like to hear more. I'm not trying to hide the noise. If you're playing through speakers and you have like a wife or a kid and somebody you don't want to wake up, I would maybe put that on night, but extended works fine for me. Play audio in the background. Yes, please. Personal message sounds. This is great when you're playing, not so much when I'm making a video. If I ever am ignoring you, most of the time I'll just tell you I'm making a video. But if I get like 40 messages while I'm trying to talk and that thing goes off, it could get annoying. So you could just turn it off right here. Pings and emotion sounds. I like this because it tells me somebody's doing something. Sound cues are huge. A ping popping up out of view does nothing for me, but a ping popping up with a sound tells me to now look for that ping. Then I know what's going on. The cabin, engine sounds, all of them are different. I like that very much. I keep that on. The horns of other cars, you can hear people beep at you, or the different horns that they bought. You can hear all of that. The stun effect, okay. Some people don't like this. I do. Like I said, I'm recording myself. If you're just playing, this is probably annoying to have. Turn it off. But for a cinematic effect, when I have a clip or a video or something, the buzzing and the shell shock, it adds a dramatic effect. You know what I mean? You could turn all of it just straight to low quality if you're having trouble. Forget about all this. Just click on low quality. It'll set it up for you. You'll be good to go. Then the gameplay voiceovers, basically the nice shot, good job, you know, he never got away. You can pick what language they talk in. And then when the co-driver's talent is ready to use, you can get a little activation sound. And this is big time as well. Because like I said, looking around 1,000 different places while playing and fighting, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do for people who are good, even pros. Like, there's no reason not to use the sound, you know? Well, if you're not using a headset, you're not hearing it anyway, sure. But look, I don't ever wear my headset. How many videos do you see me wearing this? Never. I never use this. But it does help. It very much helps. That's it for sound. Let's get to those keybinds. I say use your keybinds to your hand. Take your hand, boop, and just drop it. Just drop it. Everyone's fingers just default have a bend. That's my resting hand right here, right? My resting hand likes to play lower on the keyboard. I don't like to reach up to grab things. I like to slide down to hit things, right? So that's why the way I set up my keys is exactly like that. All of these little attack, defend, need help, that's a strip right above my space bar. The space bar is the e-brake, which is great for driving. If you're not using the e-brake while you're driving, you're making a huge mistake right here. Handbrake. You need to use the handbrake, boys, especially when you're driving. The e-brake is stabilization. If you're flying a helicopter and you're not using the e-brake, you're definitely doing it wrong. Everything else with, you know, just regular controls directionally, I would leave. Free look allows you to lock your weapons in place. I was just showing this to somebody. See how my guns rotate when I'm looking? But if I hit Alt and I look around, my weapons stay the same. They don't move. I could even drive like this, right? So you can keep your weapons facing forward, so you don't need to worry about rotation speed, right? And I can drive, make sure my vehicle faces the direction I want, and then I unlock them. And now I can turn and do whatever I want, right? That's what that button is. So the e-brake is very important. And the, where is it? Free look. I would definitely keybind those to something comfortable. Now, a lot of people use backwards builds. Maybe you don't. This is exactly the button you want if you're going to do that. The weapon groups as well. Your scoping as well, unless you're going to use the little scroller. Headlights, not so important. The lifting jack is how you flip back over. That needs to be close. You definitely want that close. Now, because we do not have voice chat, please use these pings. They're pretty good. You can tell them you're attacking, you're defending, great job, need help, thanks, sorry. This is all very good stuff. You don't need to type. You could just use these as like a hotkey emote, tell people what you're doing, and you should be good to go. Same thing with building. Now, there's a lot of building buttons. I'm not going to go through all of this. This is just about settings, okay? But look at this list. Please, go through the list. See what you can do and see what buttons they are. This even applies for controller. You can just switch it, keybind it, make it a lot more easier for you. That's going to help, okay? I highly recommend going through each individual setting and making it as comfortable as you possibly can for you. You can even do this with controller. You can set up your keybinds completely yourself. You definitely need to do this. Now, if you are a controller player, please, for the love of the Lord, go into the controller settings, please, okay? You see it? You see it? And you're going to go down here and you're going to turn it off. See this? Off. Get rid of this. You don't need it. You're better than that. I promise you, you are. You're never going to get better at aiming if you have aim assist. And I'm not saying that automatically makes you a bad player. All I'm saying is any type of crutch or help is now taking away from your learning. Okay? Because it's not putting you in a situation where you need to adapt. It just fixes it for you. You go a little bit off, it just fixes it for you. You don't have to learn to correct your aim because this is doing it for you. You don't gotta believe me. You do not have to believe me. This is where you're gonna adjust all your sensitivities. You can adjust your vibrations, which I would definitely turn off. It doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. You can invert and you can change the sensitivity for building. That's basically it, boys. After all of that, you should be good to go. As I said, make your map bigger. Please just make your map bigger. You don't really need anything other than that when it comes to the map. Because think about it. You just want to see where people are going. And if you can see the entire map, you can predict every move they make. Especially if somebody's using a radar, right? So please at least do that. If you're too lazy to get into settings, just at least change your mini-map. That's up to you. Thank you for watching, guys. Very much appreciate it. Almost at 1,000 subs on YouTube. So close. I got a letter from from YouTube today, too. Very happy about that. Streaming a little bit more. Kick, not so much. Still streaming on it, but I would recommend going to Twitch, or YouTube is obviously the home base. Everything is on YouTube. But I'm trying to get more familiarized with Twitch because when it comes to streaming, that's obviously the better platform for it. So keep your eye out. Definitely hit that sub button. The first 1,000 subscribers are OG members. I know it doesn't mean much now, but when the Killazilla makes it big time, guys, we're going to have a party. I promise you that. We're going to have a party. Thanks for watching. Doses.